the area as a scouting department too?
Ecstatic. It was a long weekend as far as the prep and everything, but well worth it. Like I speak for all our scouts. Totally happy with everything that's transpired. The scouts were engaged, as we talked about before, and we left here with what we think, as every team does, a great haul.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy. A quick look at the statistics, and there's goals, and there's points, and there's scoring and skill that jumps out. Is that something that really
Yes,
priority?
skill, hockey sense, offense, in spades, right? We got a lot of high-end skill and elite skill and scoring ability, and then a junkyard dog and a couple project prospects late in the draft.
What about that part of it? When you get to that late, I mean, you obviously like real good elements. What would you say project? What's the most important part now, kind of moving forward?
It's development for a guy like Eric Jamieson and Hunter Lang. Jamieson was on our list last year, so we've tracked him for 3 years now, and the progress that our scouts in the West had seen was integral in us taking him, like staying on top of him, and then picking him today. And with Hunter Lang, another guy who was Quinton's boy, was on our list, and then again, a guy our Western guys really liked, and then what happened was Jerome was sort of the finisher there. Jerome really liked it, really liked the kid. He knows the family live in Kelowna, so he said he's going to take him in the garage and wrestle with them and train him, and if he can handle that, then he's going to be a player for us one day.
Hard to say no to that.
Exactly.
Can you put into words, obviously you guys have a lot of tangible offensive upside in your all. Obviously you need offense to win, but can you put into words why there was such an emphasis on those types of players?
I think there always is. I think I said at the start of the year, like I didn't think this was a deep draft, and by December I'm like, oh my God, this is a really good draft, and I think that speaks to it. We got Luke Misa, who at 150, and he's skilled, he's smart, he's got good hands. Like, it's just, to me, it's the depth of the draft. So you always want to get as much skill and offense as you can. I think when you lose some skill and offense from your big team and you don't have as many picks, now you're trying to recoup that, right? So, but I mean, that's how the way the list fell. But I think there's a lot of skill and a lot of hockey sense, and I also think there's a lot of young players that are working more on that part of their game. So when they get to the junior level, you see a lot more of it.
Greg had mentioned that obviously he was trying to figure out how the draft order was going to go, and then lo and behold, you end up with Zane Parrish at 9. Can you take us through your thought process of the order going the way that it was, and then you were able to draft Zane? What was going through your head best? How was it going?
Yeah, no, you know what? I think we had a decent idea of the group of players that could go in the top 9, and I think our list was I thought it was 12 guys for 9 spots. So we thought there was a couple guys that we didn't have in our top 9 that might go. So that's the way it went, and we didn't if you told me we would have got Perek, if you told me we would have got somebody else, I wouldn't have been able to tell you, because we knew Celebrini, and then after that we're pretty sure on Levshunov, and then after that if he had gone 3rd, I wouldn't have been surprised. We got him at 9, so obviously very happy.
Sounds like Greg was really pleased about Andrew Basha, that where you got him in the 2nd round there early on.
Yeah, again, we had a group of 25 guys that Andrew was in, and we thought, hopefully we can get Basha at 41. There's no guarantees, but when we went back last night, we thought he was a guy that would be available at 41. He was the next guy on our list, so there he was at 41. So again, I think that's the excitement, right? Because at the top, when you're doing 9, we knew we were getting a good player there, and then you need some people that you don't have rated as high to go to get a guy at 41 who you have at 25, and that's the same for all the teams, right? So that was the case with Andrew, and I think the fact that he's a Calgary kid was a little ribbon on top.
What are his on-ice attributes that drew the organization to him?
Hockey sense, skill, quickness. He had really good chemistry with Lindstrom in Medicine Hat. He's a worker, and he plays in the hard areas. So, and he succeeds with the skill in the hard areas. So those were the biggest parts.
I know you basically listed off the top 3 here. Do you mind going further down the list and giving us kind of a brief scouting report for the guys?
So sure. So do you want to? I'll just do it in order. I can look at my notes. So Jacob Battaglia, Kingston Frontenacs, Fred Parker. Said his description is the most apt I've heard. He's a junkyard dog. He's thick. He's in the middle of the battle. He's got good enough hands to score in the trenches, and he's always in the trenches in the middle of it. So that's basically a Fred Parker pick there. Henry Muse, just value. It was pure value. I mean, we talked about him and Battaglia at the same pick. And Fred said for sure Battaglia, and then if Henry's there at the next pick, we're taking him. And he was there. So again, like I was joking with Brad Pascal. I said, you're going to Penticton. Like, you got Burstowicz, you got Parecki, you got Muse. The power play better be humming. You tell you tell those coaches, like, no excuses, right? Yeah. So again, you're looking for skill, and you get it where we got Henry, and then like I said, where we got Muse. Zarulin was that was Jordan. So before. Last night we put his goalies in the slots the range where he thought he would get to, and we got to, actually it was the 62nd pick before that pick, and he said, this is an area I like this guy, and we said, well, we're not going to do it here, but definitely the next 2 picks. And then he just stayed. He kept on texting, and we got to the point where I told him, yeah, we're going to take him as long as he's there at the next pick, and it came up. So Hoskin was a total Terry Dorn pick. So watched him a lot in Coburg. We saw him in the World Junior A Challenge. He was really good there, but not a big enough window for us to say definitively what he was going forward. So Terry said, again, skilled, smart. He's going to Niagara next year. He's gone through a draft. Like, he's an older kid, but lots of time to develop, and the going to school route helps us as well for that development time. And then Luke Misa, 150th overall, skilled, smart. Like, we just felt like there was no, like, at 125, we're gonna get Misa, but just the way everything was going, we're gonna get him at 150. So then Hunter Lang, we talked about Hunter a little bit, just a big rig, smart, real smart player. Obviously at 6'6", he's got some developing to do with the overall physical part, but really happy, like, especially when our Western scouts really liked him, and then when Jerome's like, yeah, like, it's sort of like, okay, like, that's validation for not only me, but for the scouts. They're like, really, Jerome? I said, yeah, that's what Jerome said. So all good. And then Eric Jameson, I said, he was the guy we went through the draft last year. Our guys kept watching him and tracking him, and he kept on improving to the point where they said, this is, at that point in the draft, we were going to take him if he was still there.
So for a guy like Jameson, what does that say to other players who might not hear their name called at the draft, that doesn't mean that scouts aren't still watching?
You know what? That's such a good question, because we did this with Mangiapane a few years back, right? He went through 2 drafts. He was at 2 drafts, and he didn't get picked. So imagine the disappointment. So, yeah, keep working at it. Like, there's some kids that are developed early, and some kids are developed later. So never stop working, never stop chasing your dream.